1981. Cedars of Lebanon Hospital was plunged into a tense stillness when Robert Nesta Marley opened his eyes for the last time with complete clarity. At 36, the King of Reggae felt the weight of an unfinished mission pressing down on his chest, stronger than the disease itself. "Rita," he whispered to his wife, who was dozing in the chair next to him. She woke instantly, as if summoned by a higher power. "Mi amor, you are awake." Bob held her hand with surprising strength for someone in his condition. "Listen carefully to what I am going to tell you. It is not about me that I need to talk. It is about what comes next." His eyes, still bright despite their weakness, fixed themselves on the ceiling as if they could see through it. "There is something I need to tell you. Something I have seen in my dreams since I was a child. A vision that I always thought was just part of my imagination, but now I understand that it was much more." Rita leaned forward, feeling the gravity of the moment. "Do you remember when I used to talk about Babylon falling? It wasn't just a song, Rita. It was a prophecy. I saw a time when the world would be divided, when music would be silenced by machines, when the young would lose their connection to Jah." Bob paused, breathing hard. "But I also saw hope. I saw that after the great darkness, when people were most lost, true music would return. And it wouldn't be through me, but through someone who hasn't yet been born. Someone who will carry the fire we've lit." Rita felt a shiver run down her spine. She'd known Bob for years, could tell his daydreams from his genuine revelations. This was different. "Who is this person, Bob?" "I don't know yet, but I know that when the time comes, when the world is ready to wake up again, this person will emerge, and our music, our message, will be the beacon that guides this new age." Bob closed his eyes, exhausted from the effort. "Write this down, Rita. Write down every word I say for the next few hours. There are forces that don't want this message to reach the world, but it must. It's bigger than the two of us." Rita searched the bedside table for paper and pen, her hands shaking slightly. She knew she was about to receive something that would change not only her life, but perhaps the fate of many others. "I'm ready, Bob. Speak." The prophetic visions. Bob began to speak in a low but steady voice, as if he were channeling something beyond himself. Rita scribbled frantically, trying to capture every nuance of his words. "I saw great towers falling in a city of iron and glass. I saw people running, lost, searching for answers on glowing screens. I saw leaders lying to crowds that applauded their own chains." Bob paused, taking a deep breath. "But after the chaos, I saw gardens growing in abandoned concrete. I saw children singing songs that had not yet been written. I saw people of all colors coming together not by politics or religion, but by a genuine love of life." Rita stopped writing for a moment. "Bob, that sounds like you're seeing the future. Not just seeing, Rita. Living it. Every night for years I've lived these moments. Jah has shown me not only what will happen, but my role in paving the way." Bob turned to her, his eyes intense. "Remember when we recorded Redemption Song? I didn't write that song. It came through me, like a message from ancient times to future times. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Those words will echo for decades to come." Rita nodded, remembering the recording session. Bob had insisted on doing the song with just his guitar, something unusual for him. Now she understood why. "But there is more, Rita. I have seen that there will come a time when our music will be transformed into something digital, when people will be able to listen to any song at any time. And in that time, our message will spread in ways we never imagined. How is that possible? I don't know how, but I know it is true. I have seen young people in faraway places, places I have never been, singing our songs and understanding our message. I have seen our music healing wounds that have not yet been opened." Bob closed his eyes again, concentrating. "But I have also seen those who will try to prevent this. I have seen powerful men who fear the awakening of the masses. They will try to hide these words. They will try to make me be remembered only as a musician, not as a messenger. That is why you must keep these words, Rita. Not just keep them, but wait for the right moment to reveal them. There will be a sign." "What sign?" "When the technology I've seen in visions becomes reality. When people are more connected, but also more alone than ever before. That's when these words will need to be heard." Rita kept writing, knowing she was documenting something extraordinary. Outside the room, she could hear the sounds of the hospital was quiet, but inside, she felt like she was in another world, a world where past, present, and future met. The hidden code. In the early hours of the morning, when the hospital was quieter, Bob asked Rita to bring him his guitar. With effort, he sat up in bed and began to play soft chords, almost whispering. There's something in the songs we recorded, Rita. A pattern, a code that even I don't fully understand until now. His fingers, though weak, still found the strings with precision. 3 little birds, no woman, no cry, one love. When you play them in sequence, in a specific order, they tell a story. The story of humanity from creation to its final redemption. Rita watched in fascination as Bob played fragments of different songs, connecting them in a way she had never realized. It was as if he were revealing a secret language hidden in his own work. Jah gave me these songs not just to entertain or comfort, but to preserve ancient knowledge. Knowledge that goes back to the days of Marcus Garvey, to Haile Selassie, to the prophets of old. Bob stopped playing and looked directly at Rita. You need to learn this sequence. You need to teach it to our children. Because when the hard times I saw come, when people are lost, this music will be like a map to find the way back. But Bob, this is incredible. Why didn't you tell me before? Because it wasn't the right time. I didn't fully understand it myself. I thought they were just musical inspirations. But now, as the end approaches, it all becomes clear. Every song, every lyric, every melody, it's all part of a greater plan. Bob lay back on the bed, exhausted from the effort. There are people who know about this, Rita. People who fear the power of real music. They tried to silence me before, and they will try to silence this message now. What people? Those who profit from division, from fear, from ignorance. They know that when people unite through music, through love, their power diminishes. Bob closed his eyes, seemingly falling into a trance. I saw a man in a dark suit at my funeral. He wasn't there to pay his respects. He was there to make sure I was truly dead. And after the funeral, he and others like him will try to erase these words I'm telling you. Rita felt a chill run down her spine. Bob, you're scaring me. Don't be afraid, Rita. The truth always finds a way. That's why you must be careful. Don't reveal these words until the right time comes. You'll know when it's time. Bob opened his eyes and smiled faintly. And when that time comes, our music will rise again stronger than ever. Not just our music, but the spirit behind it. The spirit of one love, of unity, of redemption. People are going to need to hear this, Rita. They're going to need to remember that these are more than just bodies wandering around. These are eternal spirits connected to each other and to Jah. Rita continued writing, her hands already aching, but determined to capture every word. She knew she was witnessing something historic, something that would change her life forever. The conspiracy revealed. As the day wore on, Bob seemed to grow more lucid, as if the proximity of death was opening up previously blocked channels of perception. He began to talk about specific events he had witnessed and connections he had made over the years. Remember the bombing in 1976, Rita? 2 days before the Smile Jamaica concert, Bob unconsciously touched his chest, where one of the bullets had hit him. That wasn't just random political violence. Rita nodded, remembering that terrible night on Hope Road. They said it was rival gangs. It wasn't just gangs, Rita. There was money involved. Money from powerful people who didn't want me to speak at the concert. They knew my message of unity would interfere with their plans to keep Jamaica divided. Bob paused, gathering his strength. But what they didn't know is that the bombing only confirmed what I had already seen in my visions. I saw men with guns. I saw fear in people's eyes. I saw how power tries to silence the truth through violence. Did you know this was going to happen? Not exactly when or how, but I knew they would try to stop me. That's why I went ahead with the concert, because I knew this was a battle bigger than my own safety. Bob turned to the window, watching the city below. There's a network, Rita. A network of people who control the music, the media, the politicians. They decide what people hear, what they think, how they feel. But our music went through that network. How could that be? Because Jah is more powerful than any human conspiracy. But they allowed our music to be destroyed. They were fooled because they thought they could control it, turn it into mere entertainment. They didn't understand that it was so much more. Bob held Rita's hand with renewed strength. That's why you must be careful with these revelations. They will try to discredit you. They will say that they are just the ramblings of a dying man. But you know the truth. What should I do then? Wait, watch. When you see that the world is ready, when you see the signs I have described, then reveal these words. But not before. The premature truth can be more dangerous than the lie itself. Bob closed his eyes, seeming to be in silent conversation with someone Rita could not see. When he opened them again, there was a deep peace in his gaze. They think they will silence me with death. But death is only a transition, Rita. The spirit lives on, the message lives on. The music will continue to play long after my physical body is gone. I've seen my own death many times in visions. I've seen my funeral. I've seen people crying. I've seen the obituaries in the papers. But I've also seen decades later, I've seen my music still playing, still inspiring, still healing. Rita wiped away a tear. This hurts so much, Bob, knowing you're going to go. I'm not leaving, Rita. I'm just changing shape. And everything we have lived together, everything we have created, will continue to live on as long as there are people who need to hear the message of love and unity. Chapter 5. The Keepers of the Message. The next morning, Bob asked Rita to call his older children. Ziggy, Stephen, and Damian arrived at the hospital with red eyes, knowing that these could be their last moments with their father. "My children," Bob said in a weak but loving voice, "you have the blood of a musician, but more importantly, you have the blood of a messenger. What I am going to tell you is sacred." The young men approached the bed, feeling the solemnity of the moment. Rita continued with the paper and pen, documenting everything. "The music we make is not ours, it is Jah's. We are only instruments through which it flows. But there is responsibility in that. There is a mission that goes beyond our own existence." Bob looked at each son individually. "Ziggy, you have the gift of leadership. One day you will need to guide not only our family, but our musical community. But always remember, music must serve the people, not the other way around. Stephen, your hands know the instruments as extensions of your soul. Use this gift to keep tradition alive, but also to innovate. Music must grow. It must adapt to new times without losing its essence. Damian, you are still young, but I see in you a rebellious, questioning spirit. That is good. Question everything, but always with love in your heart. You will be the one who will face the most difficult times that lie ahead." The children listened in silence, absorbing every word. Bob continued, "There will be times when you will be tempted to abandon our message for money, fame, or ease. Resist that temptation. Always remember that you are guardians of something greater." "Dad," Ziggy said hesitantly, "what exactly are you talking about?" Bob smiled faintly. "I am talking about the future of music, the future of humanity. You have a responsibility that goes beyond being my children. You are the bearers of a spiritual lineage that goes back to ancient times. In the years to come, you will see changes in the music world. You will see technologies that will make it possible for anyone to create and distribute music. That will be wonderful, but also dangerous. Dangerous in what way? Because in the midst of so much music, people can lose the ability to distinguish between sound and message, between entertainment and revelation. You must be beacons in this storm, keeping the flame of conscious music alive." Bob paused, breathing hard. "But don't do it alone. Find other guardians, other artists who share your vision. Form a safety net around the true message. And when the times come that your mother will witness, when she knows it is time to share these conversations, you must support her. You must use your music to amplify this revelation." Rita looked at her children, seeing in them the same determination she had always admired in Bob. She knew that despite the pain of their impending loss, they would carry on their father's legacy. "Promise me," Bob said in a barely audible voice, "that you will not let our music die, that you will not let it be transformed into just a commercial product. Promise me that you will keep the spirit of one love alive." The three children approached and, touching their father's hand, promised in unison to guard and protect his musical and spiritual heritage. The Chapter 6. The last song that afternoon, Bob asked for his guitar again. His hands were shaking, but he insisted on playing one last time. Rita and her children gathered around the bed, knowing that they were about to witness to create something unique. "This song has never been recorded," Bob said, adjusting the strings of his instrument. "Jah gave it to me years ago, but I always knew it was meant to be played just once at this moment." He began to play a simple but deeply moving melody. It was unlike anything they had heard before. There was an ethereal quality to it, as if it came from another plane of existence. When the last bird sings its final song, and the last tree falls to the ground, remember the words I sing today, love will always be found. His voice, though weak, carried an emotion that made everyone in the room cry. Rita wrote the words quickly, knowing she would never hear them again. "In the darkest hour before the dawn, when hope seems lost and gone, listen close to the beating of your heart. That's where I'll live on." Bob stopped playing and looked at his family. This song is a code just like the others, but this code will only be deciphered when humanity is ready for its next evolutionary step. What does it mean, Dad? Stephen asked. It means that our music is just the beginning. It is the preparation for something greater to come. When people truly understand the message of love and unity, when they live it in their daily lives, then they will be ready for the next level of consciousness. Bob handed the guitar to Ziggy. This instrument is yours now, but it is not just a guitar. It is a symbol of the responsibility you are taking on. Take care of it as you would a child. Dad, I don't want you to go, Damian said, his tears falling freely. I will never truly leave, son. Every time you play our music with love in your heart, I will be there. Every time you see someone in need and reach out, I will be there. Every time you choose love over hate, I will be there. Bob lay back on the bed, exhausted from the effort. Rita, do you have everything written down? Yes, Bob, every word. Then my mission here is complete. The rest is up to you. He closed his eyes, a peaceful smile on his face. Outside the room, the sun was setting over Miami, painting the sky with shades of red and gold. In the room, a family was saying goodbye to their patriarch, knowing that they were being invested with a responsibility that transcended their own lives. Rita looked at the pages filled with notes in her hands. She knew she was holding something precious, something that would one day change the world. But she also knew that that moment of revelation was still far away, and that she would have to carry this secret alone for a long time. Chapter 7. The Imposed Silence. In the days that followed Bob's death, Rita realized that he was right about the forces that would try to silence his message. Men in suits showed up at the family home, claiming to be from record and media companies, offering lucrative contracts for the rights to Bob's work. Mrs. Marley, one particularly insistent man, said, "We understand that your husband may have left behind some unreleased recordings, perhaps personal notes. We would be very interested in acquiring this material." Rita, remembering Bob's words about the man in the dark suit, was cautious. There is nothing of the sort. Bob shared his music with the world when he was ready to. I'm sure you understand the importance of properly preserving your husband's legacy. There are right and wrong ways to do this. The man's tone, though polite, carried a subtle threat. After he left, Rita carefully hid her notes in a safe place. She began to notice that she was being watched, that her phone was making strange noises, that certain people were frequently appearing in places where she was. "Mom, are you okay?" Ziggy asked one night, noticing her anxiety. "I'm fine, son, just careful." Rita decided not to tell her children about the surveillance, not wanting to put them in danger. A few weeks later, Rita received an unexpected visitor. An elderly woman with an African accent showed up at her door. "I knew your husband," she said simply. "May I come in?" Hesitantly, Rita let her in. The woman introduced herself as Mama Ashanti, a keeper of ancient traditions. "Bob came to me a few years before he died. He knew his visions were becoming clearer, more urgent. Do you know about the prophecies? About the mission he left for you?" "Yes, I do." Mama Ashanti smiled gently. "I didn't come here to take your notes or force you to reveal them. I came to help you protect them." "Protect them how?" "There is a network of people spread across the world who protect sacred knowledge. Some are musicians, others are writers, scholars, spiritual leaders. They all share the same mission, to preserve the truth until the world is ready for it." Mama Ashanti explained that Bob had made contact. She had contacted this network years before, knowing that she would need protection for her final message. "They will try to discredit these revelations when you make them public. They will say they are fantasies, that they were invented for profit. But we will be here to testify to the truth." Rita felt an immense relief. She was not alone in this responsibility. "How will I know when the time is right?" "Bob said you would know. He saw specific signs in your visions. When those signs appear, you will have no doubt." Mama Ashanti stood to leave. "Until then, hold these words close and continue living your life. The time of revelation will come." After the woman left, Rita felt a peace she had not experienced since Bob's death. She was not carrying this burden alone, and when the time came, there would be others to support her. Chapter 8. The Signs Manifest. Years passed. Bob's sons grew up to become respected musicians in their own right, keeping the reggae tradition alive while adapting it for new generations. Rita watched the world change, waiting for the signs Bob had described. In the 1990s, she began to see the first signs. The internet was emerging, connecting people around the world in ways never before imagined. When people are more connected but also more alone, Bob had said. In 2001, when the Twin Towers fell in New York, Rita remembered Bob's visions of great towers falling on a city of iron and glass. She opened her notes for the first time in years, rereading the prophecies with new understanding. I saw people running, lost, searching for answers on glowing screens, Bob had said. Rita watched the people around her, always looking at their cell phones, connected but isolated, just as he had predicted. In 2008, when Barack Obama was elected President of the United States, Rita saw another sign. I saw a dark-skinned man leading the most powerful nation in the world. Bob had prophesied. He will be a beacon of hope, but he will also face great resistance. Rita decided it was time to start laying the groundwork for the revelation. She began giving interviews about Bob's spirituality, about how he saw music as more than entertainment, but she still didn't reveal the specific prophecies. "Mom, you seem different lately," Ziggy commented during a visit. "More expectant. Your dad told me I would know when it was time to share certain things. I think the time is coming." In 2010, Rita saw the clearest sign of all. Social media was transforming the way people communicated, just as Bob had predicted. "I saw young people in faraway places singing our songs and understanding our message," he had said. Rita created accounts on various digital platforms and began sharing memories of Bob, testing the waters, seeing how people reacted. The response was overwhelming. Millions of people around the world were still deeply touched by his music and message. "It's time," she muttered to herself, staring at a photo of Bob on her desk. "The signs are all here. The world is ready." But Rita knew she couldn't just post the revelations online. Something so important needed to be done more carefully, more ritually. She began planning how she would reveal Bob's prophecies in the most impactful and authentic way possible. She called Mama Ashanti, who was still alive despite her advanced age. "It's time," Rita said simply. "I know," Mama Ashanti replied. "I can feel it in the air. The world is ready to awaken again. Get ready, Rita. What you are about to do will change many lives." Chapter 9. The Revelation. Rita chose the 36th anniversary of Bob Marley's death to make the revelation. It was May 11, 2017, and she had arranged a special ceremony at 9 Mile, Bob's birthplace in Jamaica. Journalists, fans, musicians, and spiritual leaders from around the world gathered, thinking it would be just another tribute to the King of Reggae. Rita took the stage with a yellowed envelope in her hands. "My brothers and sisters," she began, her voice echoing through the speakers. "Today I share with you something I have kept hidden for 36 years. Something Bob asked me to reveal only when the world was ready." An expectant hush fell over the crowd. Rita opened the envelope and pulled out the pages she had written decades earlier. In the last days of his life, Bob received visions about the future of humanity. He saw difficult times, but he also saw hope. He saw music as a force for healing and transformation that transcends generations. Rita began reading the prophecies one by one. The crowd listened in absolute silence, many with tears in their eyes as they recognized the descriptions of events that had already happened. He saw the towers falling. He saw people lost in their screens. He saw leaders who divide instead of unite. But he also saw the awakening that is happening now. Rita looked out at the crowd. "You are that awakening." When she finished reading, the silence continued for several minutes. Then slowly someone began to sing One Love. Others joined in, until the entire crowd was singing in unison. Recordings of the ceremony quickly spread across the internet. Within hours, millions of people around the world were sharing and discussing Rita's revelations. Some skeptics questioned their authenticity, but many others recognized the truth in what was revealed. "Mom, you did it," Ziggy said after the ceremony, hugging Rita. "Dad would be proud." "I'm not done yet," Rita replied. "This is just the beginning. Now we have to live these prophecies, not just hear them." In the days that followed, Rita received thousands of messages from people around the world who had been touched by the revelations. Many reported spiritual experiences, insights into their own lives, and inspiration to make positive changes. But there was also resistance. Critics tried to discredit the revelations, claiming they were fabricated to gain attention. Some even questioned Rita's sanity. "They are doing exactly what Bob said they would do," Mama Ashanti said during a phone conversation. "But it doesn't matter. The truth has already been planted. Now it will grow on its own." Rita knew that her part in the mission was just beginning. Revealing the prophecies was the first step. Now she needed to help people understand and live these revelations. Rastafari Chapter 10, The New Dawn. 2 years after the revelation, Rita watched the world begin to change in ways Bob had predicted. Movements of unity and consciousness were springing up globally, many of them using Bob's music as their soundtrack and inspiration. One Love had become an unofficial anthem for a variety of social movements. Young activists were citing Bob's prophecies in their speeches. Musicians around the world were creating songs inspired by the revelations. Rita had established the Bob Marley Foundation for Global Awakening, an organization dedicated to promoting the values of unity, love, and consciousness that Bob had preached. The foundation supported young musicians who created conscious music and funded community projects based on the principles of One Love. "Do you see it, Bob?" Rita would sometimes whisper, looking up at the sky. "Your message is finally being heard in the way you dreamed it would." Bob's children had become ambassadors for the prophecies, traveling the world and sharing their father's message. Ziggy had released an album called The Prophecy Continues, which became a global phenomenon. Stephen and Damian had also created musical projects inspired by the revelations. In 2019, Rita received a phone call that deeply moved her. It was a young singer, only 19 years old, born in a small town in the interior of Brazil. "Dona Rita," the young woman said, her voice trembling, "I think I am the person Mr. Bob saw in his visions. Ever since I was a child, I have had dreams about healing music, about people coming together through love. And after I heard your revelations, it all made sense." Rita felt a shiver run down her spine. The young woman's voice, her energy, something about her resonated with Bob's descriptions of the person who would carry the fire forward. "What is your name, child?" "My name is Esperança, Dona Rita. Esperança da Silva." Rita smiled through her tears. Esperança, what a perfect name. She knew Bob had not chosen the name by chance. Over the next few months, Rita worked with Esperança, helping her develop her music and her message. The young singer released her first album, Daughter of Prophecy, which instantly touched millions of hearts around the world. Hope's music was different. It was reggae, but it was also something new, something that spoke directly to people's souls. It was exactly what Bob had predicted, the evolution of conscious music into a new era. In 2021, on the 40th anniversary of Bob's death, Rita organized a global festival called One Love Rising. Hope was the headliner, but the event featured artists from every continent who were creating music inspired by Bob's prophecies. "We did this," Rita told her children as they watched millions of people around the world sing along via online streams. "Your father did it. His message didn't just survive, it thrived." But Rita knew the work wasn't done. Bob's prophecy spoke of an ongoing awakening, a transformation that would take generations to fully complete. "This is just the first wave," she told Esperança after the festival. "Val, you and your generation are the bearers of the next phase. Keep planting seeds of love and unity. Keep using music to heal and inspire." As Rita prepared to pass the baton to the next generation, she reflected on the incredible journey she had been on. From those final days with Bob in the hospital to this moment of global triumph, she had been true to her mission. "Thank you, Bob," she whispered to the starry sky, "for giving me this responsibility, for trusting me to guard your message until the world was ready." The prophecy was not hidden. It was preserved, and now it is lighting the way to a better future. And somewhere in the spiritual realm where eternal souls dwell, Bob Marley smiled, knowing that his final message had served its purpose, to awaken humanity to its potential for love, unity, and redemption.